Hi, Coach Joe Lukacs, and welcome to the Magellan Network Show. For nearly 30 years, I've been focused on helping advisors become the best both personally and professionally. This show is dedicated to sharing with you tools, tips, strategies, distinctions, things that are working now. I'd love for you to take a moment, and if you're watching this on YouTube, click the like button and also the subscribe button so you get automatic updates. And if you happen to be listening to us on a podcast, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast and you leave a positive review for us. Now, with that said, let's get to today's episode. Hi, it's your Coach Joe Lukacs, and welcome to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, in this episode, I want to continue our little mini masterclass series on mindset. And just to kind of recap the last couple of episodes, we talked a little bit about what is mindset. And mindset is not a one singular concept. It's a recipe. It's made up of your belief systems, your values, your 6 human needs, your internal dialogue, and your self-image. Today, in this episode, we're going to tackle internal dialogue. And why is this so important? Let's face it. We all have conversations with ourselves, right? And so let's today have a conversation about those conversations, in essence. And when I say conversation, let me kind of give you a different frame on this. What we're really saying here is that our brain is a massive Q&A machine, question and answer. So habitually, consciously, and subconsciously, throughout the day as a financial advisor, you're constantly asking yourself questions. Right? And so it's just a massive Q&A machine. And one of my early mentors, Tony Robbins, said the quality of your life is determined by the quality of communication with yourself. So if we want to master communication and influence with other people, our team members, our clients, our prospects, our loved ones, we first need to master our communication and conversation with yourself. Also, let's also remember that, how you ask questions and the words you use, we're going to talk about words in a little bit, how they have a profound impact on whether you're going to move forward and take action or not take action. Now, I'm going to make a comment and just kind of bear with me through this comment. Most human beings, researchers have found, have tens of thousands of negative thoughts per day. Most are negative. So there's some positive, most are negative. So let's work under the premise that you tend to talk yourself out of things, right? More so than talk you into things. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, here's a great example. Let's say you get a referral from a client. And here's their name, here's their phone number. What's the conversation like? Do you sit there and say to yourself, man, I am so excited. I am so blessed. I am so grateful that I have this opportunity to go connect with this human being to see if I can add value to them, if I can be of service to them. Or do you say, I wonder when I should call this person. They probably have an advisor. They're probably going to be busy. I don't want to interrupt them. I don't want to be I don't want to be salesy. Two vastly different conversations from the same situation. If it's the first conversation, I know you're going to reach out and connect with that person. If it's a second conversation, chances are you're going to procrastinate for as long as you possibly can until the pain of procrastination overwhelms the conversation you just had in your own mind, right? The other piece is how do you look at and how do you have the conversation around failure in your mind? So, for example, how do you define failure? You sit there and say, hey, that sucks. I never want to fail. And if that's the conversation with yourself, hey, I never want to fail, that means you'll never succeed because you're playing it safe, right? Like, what is your conversation when you put yourself in a situation that could require you to have a level of failure, okay? Now, what are some other things we need to look at inside of conversations, right? Languaging. So what do I mean by languaging? The words that you use. And I'm used to, for those of you who have been around me and maybe have had the opportunity to work with me or continue to work with me, what are Joe's terrible words that make the hair on his back stand up? First 3-letter word, try. I'm going to try to get up earlier. I'm going to try to get more organized, right? So that 3-letter word, try. What's the second 3-letter word I hate? My job. Gee, I didn't know you had a guaranteed salary. That's shocking, right? And so, again, could you tell yourself that my job, that means you think you're an employee. Some level, you think you're an employee, and at another level, you abdicate responsibility. My job, right? What's next? I should ask for more referrals. I really should go and reach out to my clients' CPAs. I really should update all my financial plans. There's that S word, for sucker. Like if you're just should, what I really should do, right? It never happens. So either use the word, get rid of the word should, and use the term I commit to. I commit to reaching out to my client CPAs. I commit to getting up earlier, right? That's what I want. So again, try, should, job, right? Hope. Another word. Man, I hope this works out. Man, I hope I get some referrals this month. Man, I hope the market stays the way they are. Hope. Another 4-letter word. And language matters. Because if you're talking, like if you and I have a conversation, I can tell how you think and frame things in your mind by how you talk to me and the words and language you use. So if I've got a lot of tries, shoulds, right, hopes, we have a problem. That is not the language of success. That is not the language of achievement, right? Or I get people that double down. What I should try to do, like, oh my God, that's it right there. Should try, we're dead. Like that never happens in our space. So languaging matters. Now, how do you get conscious with this languaging? So let's talk about it. So we've identified the challenge, right? And what I need you to do, as sort of like a little assignment here, is be conscious of how you talk to yourself, right? And look, for most of you, and we're going to talk about a protocol in a little bit, most of you don't sit around and say, okay, how am I going to talk to myself today? Or I'm sitting in my office, right? And okay, I got to do things. You're not sitting there saying, oh, how do I need to talk to myself about getting these things done? It's an unconscious, subconscious pattern you run. Shoulds, tries, hope, would, right? All that. So there are four strategies that when you practice daily will allow you to take control of your internal dialogue and in essence, take control of moving your game forward. So, and these are, by the way, these are like in no particular order. They're all equally important. So think of this as a recipe, not pick 2 out of the 4, 1 out of the 4, 3 out of 4. All 4 must be present. So the first one is going to be what we call morning power questions. Morning power questions. So this is a questions or series of questions that you'll ask yourself when you first get up in the morning. Now, when you say first get up in the morning, I mean like literally before my feet hit the floor. So I do this with myself. Some of my questions are, what has to happen in order for me to have a great day today? Question mark, right? It's a question. What has to happen is an ask, okay, what do I need to do? And then a frame, great day, right? Not what I need to do to fail, right? We're not going to talk about that. So what has to happen for me to have a great day today? What must I do today to give my all inside of my game? That's question number 2. Question number 3, where am I going to get uncomfortable today? And we're not going to talk about that's going to be a different episode. But in order to achieve, you must be willing to get uncomfortable and do uncomfortable things like remind clients about referrals and introductions, ask for outside assets, get up earlier, maybe sit down with a client and have a come into Jesus meeting, maybe sit down with a team member and have a come into Jesus meeting, right? There are uncomfortable things that must be done as a business owner, okay? Next question, what am I going to be grateful for today? Gratitude is key in shifting psychology, okay? So those are just some examples of morning, and literally these are done for me. They're done within the first 1 to 5 minutes of like consciousness first thing in the morning. So like 5:15, 5:30 before my feet to bed, I'm kind of waking up naturally. So here's some of the questions I'm going to ask myself. Okay. Next, evening questions. So this is before, you kind of go unconscious for the night, right? So when I settle into bed, okay, hey, what was I most proud of in my day today, right? Where did I give? Where was my wins or win for the day? Right? What was I grateful for the day? Where did I have impact today? Right? So this is just a reminder to kind of take inventory. Now, could you do this in the essence of also doing some journaling? Yes. So you can do your questions and like Q&A and do it in written form. That counts too. That's fine, right? Because you have to process that internally in a language capacity. That works. So think of those as your brackets, right? Morning questions, evening questions. Now, we're going to talk about peak state questions. So peak state, what's a peak state question? A peak state question is when you're going to get into a situation where you can't mess around. So in other words, you have to deploy all of your resources. So for example, let's say you're going to be getting on a Zoom with a referral, a prospect, right? I don't want you to just show up. Hey, take 3 minutes before you click, connect, and ask yourself a couple questions. Number one, what must I do to be in a peak state now? Right? So in other words, energy levels, right? You gotta, if you're like dragging your ass into a conversation with somebody, you're not going to be in a position of influence. So what do I need to do to be in a peak state? Next question. What must I do to really connect with this person? Next question. What must I do in order to really uncover their true needs, their true wants? What must I do in order to provide the massive value inside of our conversation today? Lastly, what is the outcome that I truly want out of this situation? So those are some peak state questions. Okay? You can use them in review meetings, Zooms, anytime you have to influence somebody, whether you speak, do group things, whatever it is. Have a conversation with your children, all those. Anytime you know you need to deploy all your resources in a conversation, make sure you use some peak state questions. Number 4, we call declarations and statements. They're really the same thing, and let me explain why they're so important. Now, I have declarations, and I'm going to show you this. Again, if you're audioing, just kind of hang out with me. So this is what we call our Magellan quarterly game plan. All my clients and members, we build these every quarter, right? It's a 2-pager. Here's what we're going to get done next 90 days. So inside of here, we have statements, right? So for example, statement, lead by example. Statement, tell the truth today. Statement, live the Magellan Core 4, which I don't expect anybody to know what it is, but we have a Core 4 protocol process, right? That's like a code that all of us inside of this game live by. Okay? Give 100% today, right? Those are some statements. Have an uncomfortable day today. So why do I have a statement that says have an uncomfortable day today? Because, like I said earlier in our conversation, being uncomfortable leads to growth. You can't play it safe in the comfort game and expect to produce massive results. It doesn't happen. All results that you produce are a result of elevation and evolution. And that evolution is a part of being uncomfortable. No two ways around it, okay? So these are just some, again, like I said, in our masterclass, we do a whole 60 minutes on this, and I'm not going to do that here today. But I want to impress upon each and every one of you who are watching or listening to me to be super conscious of your internal dialogue. What holds you back, and hear me out on this, is not your intelligence. You're all smart enough. It's not that you won't invest in your business. You probably have bought systems, you've gone to training programs, you intentionally have done good things to elevate your game, but you're just not, it's not either happening fast enough or it's not happening the way you want it to, and you're frustrated. And why is that? Because ultimately, the game is the man or woman in the mirror. And we haven't talked about self-image yet. That'll be our next conversation. But I will tell you this, that the beauty of this and the sinisterness of it simultaneously. The beauty of this is that if you want to elevate you, it doesn't matter your firm, it doesn't matter your compliance, it doesn't matter how much money you have, it doesn't matter. What matters is, are you ready to elevate you? That's the beauty. You control the game. The sinister part is many of you won't step in because you're afraid to really face your truth. And I will tell you, I have faced my truth. Many of our members, many of my personal clients, I help them face their truth. And there's an old saying, the truth shall set you free. I'm going to change that a little bit. the truth will have a massive positive effect on your bank account. And it'll set you free. So a little 2-for-1 on that. We are next week hosting a multi-day live stream and masterclass on strategic planning. As part of that, you would have access to the entire 3-hour training on mindset as prep. So if you want to step into our game, I'm sure my team will put a link below to get access to that. I highly recommend it, obviously. It's not for everyone. I hope that for some of you, that this makes sense and that I resonated with you. And for everybody else, I hope you got some good information and like some food for thought. And you found the last 15 minutes or so a worthwhile endeavor. So thank you for listening and watching this episode of the Magellan Network Show. And I'll see everybody again next week when we're going to talk about self-image. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode of the Magellan Network Show. Hey, if any of this resonated with you, I invite you to come to MagellanNetwork.net, and we have a powerful group coaching community of like-minded advisors. Come in for a trial. You and I will have a one-on-one conversation. Let's see if I can help elevate your game both personally and professionally.